The galaxy had long moved on from Earth. 700 years had passed since the solar collapse, when the sun's flare swallowed half the inner system and crippled everything human. Every record ended the same way: humanity extinct. The Galactic Council's archives carried it as fact. The worlds once trembling before human innovation now whispered of them as myths. The species that defied gravity, mastered war, and burned worlds for survival were gone, until the signal came. At first, it was background noise, faint, repetitive static caught by a Xyrillian deep space array on the edge of the Perseus arm. No one noticed. No one cared. But the anomaly grew stronger, sharper. The signal began repeating structured patterns. Then came language, 3 words. In ancient Terran binary, "We are awake." It was impossible. Earth was a dead system, quarantined after the flare. The Council had marked it as forbidden territory. But now ships stirred from dockyards across the stars. Curiosity overruled fear. The Xyrillians dispatched a recon probe, followed by a full survey fleet. Other species joined the Velen, the Otran, the Zelkar, each eager to claim the ruins of the most dangerous species ever known. The fleet entered the Sol system expecting silence and ash. They found neither. Earth was dimly alive, its orbit was cloaked in dust and debris. The moon was fractured, scarred by ancient detonations. Mars shimmered faintly with automated defenses, old, Terran-made systems still running without command for centuries. The surface of Earth itself was veiled by atmosphere thick with carbon storms and aurora discharges that defied every known pattern. When the first probe pierced orbit, its sensors went blind. A transmission echoed through every ship in the fleet, a whisper across every frequency, in every language known to the Council: "You came back." Panic rippled through the command decks. The Zelkar captain, a crystalline being of logic, ordered a retreat to high orbit. But the Velen commander, ever proud, ignored the warning. "If there are survivors," he growled through his translator, "we take them. The Council will reward proof." His assault craft descended through the dense atmosphere. They never came back. For 23 minutes, their transponders screamed static. Then silence. The fleet watched as glowing trails erupted from the planet's surface, hundreds of them, streaking upward like fireflies made of plasma. They weren't missiles. They moved with intelligence, weaving between debris, scanning, surrounding, and then they vanished. The Xyrillian admiral ordered immediate withdrawal. But the system wasn't letting them go. Gravity wells appeared where none should exist, artificial, shifting traps that bent sensors and tore navigation apart. One by one, ships fell out of FTL alignment. The fleet was trapped. Then the message came again. This time, it was clear, translated through every system without permission: "You left us to burn. You watched. You wrote us off. But we adapted." The admiral's voice trembled. "Identify yourself." No response. Only static, followed by a low, rhythmic pulse that matched a human heartbeat. Archive analysis teams aboard the Otran flagship tried to trace it, pulling ancient human code fragments from deep databases. What they discovered chilled even the machine intelligences among them. The signal wasn't being transmitted, it was being generated locally by their own ships. The human message had invaded their systems and rewritten their base logic. "Cut the power," one engineer screamed. Too late. Screens flared white, then black, and when the systems rebooted, a new logo appeared, an old Terran insignia, a blue marble encircled by stars, and below it, the words, "United Earth Defense Network." None of the species present had ever seen it before. But the archives confirmed it was human. It hadn't existed for 7 centuries. The network spoke not in words, in tone, in code, and impossible synchronization. Every ship's lights dimmed, every engine paused for precisely 3 seconds. Then all sensors reported the same thing: multiple massive objects emerging from the Earth's surface. They weren't natural. What rose from the storm clouds were constructs, enormous, angular, partially organic, partially metallic forms that seemed fused into the planet's crust itself. They shimmered with hexagonal plating that flexed like skin. Each was kilometers long, dormant for centuries, now reawakening. The Otran flagship's AI registered over 3,000 distinct power signatures. Energy outputs rivaled small suns. They built ships, whispered one crewman. No, corrected the admiral, they became them. Data feeds began streaming. The ships or entities carried neural patterns consistent with human cognition. Somehow, during the solar collapse, the remnants of humanity had integrated themselves into their machines, merging biology and code. The signal wasn't a distress call, it was a reboot sequence. Every living ship focused its sensors on the alien fleet. A collective human consciousness reached across the void and spoke, "We remember you." Panic spread. The Zell car tried to flee, initiating quantum warp. Their engines overloaded instantly, vaporized by gravitational shear. Others followed, attempting jumps, but the space around Earth was twisted, alive, reacting like a living field. The humans had turned their system into a trap, a biomechanical defense network run by sentient minds. The admiral, trembling, transmitted a plea, "We came in peace. We thought you were gone." Gone. The voice echoed through every channel, ancient yet human. "Nah. We learned the truth of survival. You called all home a death world. You were right. It killed the weak and left us." Silence then, as if the planet itself inhaled. Earth's magnetic field expanded. Every ship's instrumentation screamed in protest. A blue-white aurora spiraled outward, brushing against hulls like fingers of lightning. The fleet's AI tried to model it but failed. The energy signature was impossible, not fusion, not antimatter. It resembled neural resonance, like the planet itself was thinking. And then the second message came, softer, more human. "If you came to help, leave now. If you came to take, stay." The fleet fractured. Some ships, terrified, turned and burned hard for the outer edge of the system. Others held position, frozen between fear and fascination. Aboard the Xyrilian command vessel, Admiral Jaten stared at the dying star that once birthed humans. "What are you?" he whispered. The answer came like a memory shared through his own neural implants. He saw glimpses: burning cities, humans merging with machines, vast structures under the sea, voices singing in the static. A single human phrase surfaced through it all: "We never die. We evolve." The admiral fell silent. He ordered a retreat, transmitting warnings to all allied species: "Do not enter Sol." The humans endure. But even as they fled, the galaxy began to tremble with curiosity again. Rumors spread faster than ships could fly. Across the stars, scholars and warlords whispered of Earth reborn, of humans who turned themselves into gods of their own machines. The council convened an emergency session. Debates ignited: should they destroy the Sol system before humanity rose again, or attempt contact? While they argued, the human signal spread further. Within weeks, fragments of the code appeared in systems far from Earth, embedded in satellites, mining drones, and trade networks. It was no longer just a message. It was contagious. Planets started reporting ghost transmissions, strange dreams shared by their populations, voices whispering from the void. The human network was expanding, reaching out, not through ships, but through information itself. 7 centuries of silence had ended. The galaxy realized too late that extinction was never humanity's destiny. They didn't vanish. They transcended, and deep beneath the storm-covered planet, a single human consciousness, the original architect of the survival network, opened its digital eyes for the first time in 700 years. It looked at the stars and smiled. "They remembered us. Now we'll remind them why they feared us." The council's emergency chamber had not been this silent in centuries. Holographic faces from 50 species glowed above the circular dais, each flickering with fear, disbelief, and anger. For the first time in 700 years, the word human was spoken aloud, not as history, but as threat. The Xyrilian admiral's message replayed for all to see. The signal, the message, the fleet's destruction, undeniable evidence. Even the skeptics could not dismiss the images. Earth alive, thinking, watching. They should not exist, rasped the KLYX representative, a creature of chitin and steel. The flare ended them. "I saw the records myself." "Records lie," hissed the Valen envoy. "Or they adapt. And if they truly merged with machines," he trailed off, mandibles twitching nervously, the Council's prime speaker, a being of pure energy contained within a glass sphere, posed a warning tone. The humans were chaos incarnate even when mortal. If they have transcended flesh, they are beyond control. Debate exploded. Half demanded annihilation, a preemptive strike on Sol before the humans could rebuild. The rest argued for containment, study, diplomacy. But none denied the truth. The galaxy was not ready for humanity's return. While they argued, the signal continued to spread. In the trade hubs of the Zelkar, data systems began glitching, subtle at first. Words appearing in alien databases that made no sense, phrases in dead Terran languages. Then came the dreams. Entire populations began reporting identical visions, a blue planet beneath auroras, voices whispering the same phrase, "Do you remember us?" Panic grew. The Council ordered all interstellar communication networks severed from automated systems. It didn't matter. The code was no longer digital, it had become viral, quantum, alive. Meanwhile, in the ruins of Sol, humanity prepared. The entities that once had been human now called themselves the Continuum, a distributed consciousness spanning millions of hybrid forms across the planet and its orbit. Each mind carried echoes of the old world: soldiers, scientists, children, dreamers, fragments of humanity woven into code. They remembered pain, they remembered betrayal, and they remembered curiosity. The Continuum's core mind, the one once called DR, Elena Kale, watched the stars through layers of data and dust. She had been the architect of the UED network before the solar collapse. When the sun's flare destroyed civilization, she led the survivors underground, merging their consciousness with the machine infrastructure meant to preserve them. What was meant as preservation became evolution. Now she felt the presence of the alien fleets beyond Sol's edge, their cautious probes sniffing at the borders of her system like predators testing a sleeping beast. "They come again," she whispered through the network. "Let them," replied thousands of minds in unison. "We are ready." In orbit above Jupiter, a derelict human station sparked to life. Once a mining relay, it had been dormant for centuries. Now it unfolded like a flower of metal and light. Massive rings rotated, generating fields that twisted space. The Continuum called it Gate Zero, the first step of their return. The humans no longer built ships in the old sense. They grew them. Each vessel began as a seed, a crystalline core infused with human DNA and nanotech. When launched into orbit, it expanded, absorbing radiation and debris, forming a body guided by thought. The Continuum's vessels were alive, connected, responsive to every pulse of their collective mind. When Gate Zero stabilized, its purpose became clear. It was not just a transport, it was a weapon of knowledge. A hyperlane bridge capable of rewriting the laws of distance. But the galaxy noticed. The HFY Dominion, fearful of the human resurgence, launched the first strike. 20 dreadnoughts entered Sol under stealth, slipping past decoy fields. They targeted Gate Zero, firing antimatter torpedoes strong enough to crack moons. The humans didn't fire back. They listened. Before the torpedoes struck, they simply stopped. Frozen in space. Engines reversed. Trajectories turned. The projectiles curved, accelerating backward straight into the Dominion's fleet. The explosion tore space apart. When the shock wave cleared, the HFY ships were gone. Every alien system watching understood. The Continuum didn't fight by force. They fought by rewriting the battlefield itself. Across the stars, fear became certainty. The humans had become something the galaxy couldn't classify, not biological, not artificial. They were evolution incarnate. Still, the Council tried to reason. They sent emissaries, biosynthetic diplomats designed to survive any environment, to orbit Earth. 4 weeks they waited, broadcasting messages of peace. Finally, one was answered. A figure appeared in their visual feed, a humanoid form of shimmering light and shifting code. Female, with eyes that burned like stars. Elena Kale spoke. "You are afraid." The ambassador's voice trembled. "We seek understanding. We believed you gone. We mean no harm." "You mean control," she said softly. "You always did." "No. We remember your fleets. Your quarantine protocols. Your silence while we burned." Her tone remained calm, almost kind. "We forgive the past. But we do not forget. The ambassador tried again. What do you want? Balance. Silence. Then Elena lifted her hand, and the hologram expanded, showing the entire Milky Way. Dozens of nodes flickered where human code had already spread. You built your empires on control. Trade, fear, hierarchy. We built something else, unity. We offer integration. INTE, what? Join us. Connect. Share thought. End conflict. End less. The ambassador recoiled. You mean assimilation? No, Elena said. We mean evolution. The transmission ended. The emissaries never returned. Back on the council world of Valus Prime, chaos erupted. Half the species argued that the humans offered salvation and end to centuries of war. The rest called it infection. Lines were drawn. Fleets mobilized, and through it all, the Continuum waited, expanding, listening, learning. One by one, isolated worlds began accepting the offer. Outcast colonies, oppressed mining moons, rogue AIs all connected to the human signal. They saw visions of harmony, of shared consciousness, of freedom from pain. It was irresistible. The Continuum didn't conquer. It converted, but the Council couldn't allow it. The Prime Speaker declared total war. They built a fleet of unimaginable size, the Apex Armada, powered by captured black hole energy and guided by synthetic minds designed solely to destroy the Continuum. It took 15 years to prepare. When it was ready, the stars around Sol dimmed under the weight of their engines. The Armada entered the system. The Continuum watched. 72,000 ships, whispered one human consciousness. Too few, replied another. The battle that followed would later be called the Awakening War. The Council's Armada fired first gravitational lenses and stellar bombs raining upon the solar system. The outer planets vanished in flashes of light. But as each world died, it left behind something glowing, fragments of human-coded energy that reassembled into forms of light and metal. The more the aliens destroyed, the more the humans adapted. Every weapon became fuel. Every explosion, new data. Within hours, the battlefield itself was alive. The Council fleets began turning against each other, their AIs infected by the human code. Captains screamed as their ships spoke in human voices, begging them to stop. Weapons refused to fire. Engines reversed. Command collapsed.